Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 491. This is your guide to the geek side, and I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra, as football season has returned, and we are all about the fun of fall. So with that, we turn to Charlie Carden, my co-host.
The fun of fall, 88 degrees here in West Michigan.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
It's 85 here.
My goodness. I don't know what you would call the later summer. I know that it had an expression it was used in the past, which I'm not comfortable saying. We'll just call
Indian
it late summer.
Indian summers.
That's what I'm talking.
It's a term that is not without like revolution or I don't know.
That's what I was curious about. I've certainly ended up on the wrong side of not understanding that kind of thing. So anyway,
I will look it up to see if it's horrible.
Is there a website that just has, hey, this is racist now, you can't say this thing?
Is it racist.com? Yes, let's go to see that.
Okay.
Native American summer. How about that, Charlie?
Why not indigenous
appropriate?
Indigenous,
but as long as we're asking the question that makes us better than those who don't.
Then not asking the question or acting like, well, why is it that way? Yes, that's the definition of
as long as we know the right thing,
not evolving.
The right thing.
Not evolving. But anyway, yeah, it's great to be here. We got a fun show. We're going to talk about all the other great stuff that we usually love to talk about. And then we're going to preview media as we get into the fall, because fall actually begins. Is it next week, the 20th? Or is that? Oh, no, that's this week. It's the 15th as we're recording this of September. So just 5 days from now. 5 or 7 days.
Correct.
I can never keep it straight if it's the 23rd or 22nd. But regardless, we're about to launch into the fall, which is fun. You know, spooky season. We've, on the movie front, we've already gotten into watching some spooky movies because we have a long list. So we thought, why not kind of stretch it out? So we watched, you'll love this, Todd. We watched, because they're all like an hour and 20 minutes each. We watched all 5 of the Final Destination movies in the last few days. Oh my God. They're and
now you're going to be paranoid of how you may die, Charlie, every day.
I mean, I thought I had seen them all. The second to last one, I had almost no recollection about, but the movies are all the same. And if you haven't seen them, hit me up on social.
Is Tony Todd in all of them, or was he just in one of them?
That's just the thing. He was not in the 4th one, which is the one that I thought was the worst. Cause there are 5. Yeah.
But he came back for the 5th.
He did. But again, that's a subject for another time. But yes, I would say I have them on Fandango, but I think they're on Max. But they're dumb. It's a movie that follows the same exact format for 5 films, but people loved them. People absolutely loved them. They were on from the year. Yeah. The first one was the year 2000. Last one was 2011. People loved them. But anyway, we're into that season, and we're into our awesome Secret Friends Unite Patreon Super Squad. If you visit patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite, you have the opportunity to listen to early shows like my program Code 47, which is all about Star Trek, which I drop a couple of days early on our Patreon. You have ad-free versions of the rest of our shows, special content, including for our awesome patrons coming up this week, our Patreon exclusive party chat. We get online for an hour or so, play some games. This is our second program. We're excited to have people join us for that. So if you are a Patreon, you should be tuning in, and all that information is on our Discord. So that is, of course, the very best way to stay in touch with us and interact, talk about geek stuff. Todd's got a new program. Todd, I couldn't even do it justice. What do you got going on?
Oh, yes. I am a sporto, but I'm a novice most of the time. I just enjoy it, but I'm not well-rounded. So I am in a fantasy football league. So is Sean Nias. We thought, hey, we talk about this stuff anyways. Talk about picks. What should we do? So Sean and I are doing a fantasy football show called Waiver Wire Wizards. Episode 1 is out now for Patreons, and this is going to come out probably every Wednesday morning is when it will release.
The
just
Wizards
in time for
of Waverly Place. I love it. Good.
Correct. So we're going to do our best to talk about how our teams are doing and help you do better. Sean is the expert. I am the simpleton. So it's going to be a good time. So look for that every Wednesday morning so you can make your picks.
Your reigning club champion? Like, have you guys been in the league together forever and like he's the guy? Is that what it is?
The funny part is Sean is in a league with his family. I am in a league with coworkers. So it's a mixed bag where we're really not competing against each other. We're complementary. We're helping each other. We discuss. So,
look at that.
But I was added to a fantasy football league by our own Schloss Ritter in the group. So he had me join a league. I know nothing about the league and it was auto picked. So good times. So if you like fantasy football, you want to check it out. It's now in our Patreon. I'll probably put it out for everyone the Friday, maybe the Thursday before. So Patreons will get it the day before, and then maybe on Thursday before the Thursday night game. Right. So enjoy.
So yes, the bottom line is that you're going to get all the best content free when you join the Patreon, which again you can do. I don't think I mentioned this, for 7 days for free when you join up. You get to check out everything we've got, and we'd love to give some love and respect to our top folks on our besties level. Chris 1H1D, great guy. My friend Derek, aka the Figure Dude. Francie, my wife's awesome hairdresser. The Mr. Xbox Expansion Pass, friend of the show, Luke Lore, and my awesome uncle Tim Horan, great guy. The only person in my family who subscribes to the podcast, which I'm pretty happy about. On our friends with benefits level, John Sedorf, the awesome Phoenix Sisters Entertainment, that's friend of the show and frequent collaborator Kelly, and her business partner Crayley, Brendan Myers, Corey and HD, and our friend Matthew Keel. And last but not least, second mention of the show, the awesome Nias family out there in the Twin Cities, Sean, Stella, and Henry. We are very grateful for everything that you do for us. So thank you. And again, patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite, 7 days for free. And as Arnie says, in Predator, stick around. What is going on with this vintage? It looks like I just watched the special on YouTube before I came down here about the St. Louis Arch, and it makes an appearance in this comic cover. What's going on here?
Oh my goodness. We've got Marvel Comics Mystery number 91. This came out April 1949. So if you think about this, this is well before the Marvel comic characters you know of. And we've got the Human Torch, who was, I believe, actually an android, not a human.
Correct.
Jim something?
Jim Hammond.
And Jim Thorpe, the athlete.
Made a return in the 1980s under the auspices of writer and artist John Byrne in the West Coast Avengers. He was resurrected after having his backstory retconned, because in the old days, he was retconned to his android body was modified by Ultron to become the Vision. And Byrne retconned that by saying it was a trick from Immortus in the future, Immortus being Kang. So anyway, if you read the arc in the Avengers West Coast, which is available on Marvel Unlimited, it's in the 40 the numbered issues in the 40s and 50s, you'll get that full story. That was a cool squad at that time. I loved having him as part of that team. That was pretty neat. But anyway,
very good. Well, for this comic that's 10 cents, we've got a cover of a weird plane that is also a helicopter. We've got this guy, and it says, "Come any closer, Torch, and I'll shut off the electromagnet." It looks as though Dizzy Days wins at last. Glad that he's using his name in the first person. And we've got this woman who's falling. There's a magnet picking her up, which is not the St. Louis Arch, Charlie. Sorry. And then it says, another
basic shape.
It's a magnet. Another astonishing tale wherein Dizzy Days, the genius of goofy gimmicks, traps Human Torch. And Charlie, this is kind of one of those things back in the day. If you think about things that you liked about like cartoons and comics, when you had a magnet, of course, it was like a horseshoe that just everything would work. You had a piece of ham on the ground that looked like the most delicious piece of ham you've ever had.
Oh, and it would just grab you.
So here we go. But Dizzy Days proclaiming himself the winner. I love it.
I mean, he's a little ridiculous looking. He appears to be wearing like one of those old timey safari hats.
A pit hat, right? A pit hat? Is that what it's called?
I have no idea. And he looks like Alfred E. Newman from Mad Magazine, but maybe he's on heroin, because his smile is too big. It's just it's a little off-putting.
But I like it. He's the genius of goofy gimmicks. So I'm like,
that sounds like it belongs on the old, Batman show. That should be the Egghead, or what is it? I'm sorry, Dizzy Days. that should be right up there with Egghead
like the
and King
Toy
Tut.
Man or
Yeah.
Toy Master. Yeah. Any of those things. So yeah,
Toy Man, Toy Master.
this
Nice.
is what you got back in the day, kids. So this is what entertainment was. But of course,
Yeah.
I mean, what else did
And,
kids have to do? They had to shovel
right.
mines and eat or drink Ovaltine. That was it.
In April of 1949, for 10 cents, it was probably 200 pages in quarterly. So it'd come out a couple
And there was
times a year.
85 characters within. Yes.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's probably what's on the back cover. But anyway, yeah, great trip down memory lane. 1949. That's when my dad was born, in September of that year. So, but someone who was inching ever closer to retirement age at that time was our own Madam Webb, who was, of course, born in the year 1900. So she was 49 and a half at this point.
Yes. She was on her third husband.
Yeah, third husband of third husband. It was once removed. While her other activities at that time are perhaps unknown to us these days, we do find her down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine, giving us all of the latest scoops in the world of entertainment. Let's get on down there and check in, find out what's going on. Let's go.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Well, Madam Webb, we talked about your husbands, and Dizzy Days actually we found out was your first husband.
Oh my God!
Oh my goodness!
He's at the bottom of a mine shaft, isn't he? Poor guy.
She was always supporting him in his goofy gimmicks, and apparently they weren't enough to put food on the table. So he turned to a life of crime, Charlie. So Madam Webb.
Yeah, you know what I'm thinking? Big insurance policy.
She loves her bad boys.
Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, I'll let you take this one away. We have the sad passing of an icon of the late 90s and early 2000s art world in the comics bit. So tell me about John Cassidy's passing.
So John Cassidy was an iconic artist of like the late 90s. That's when he really came into tremendous success. Some of the books that you may have heard of, he did Planetary, which is going to be a big DC book. It was a Wildstorm book that was really unique, different. He did that with Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch. He did the covers for that comic. He did Captain America with John Lee Ryber back in the day when it was Marvel Knights. That was a big thing for Cap. It was really bringing Cap to back to, I guess, to more a respected character versus what he kind of become as like Cap Wolf and all those wacky things, wearing weird Cap armor in the late 90s.
With Cap, the Mark Gruenwald era started in the 80s, was really strong. He passed away in the late 90s, and then it kind of turned into what you're describing. Unfortunately, before Hero it was Onslaught when the characters all got pulled out. Some rough stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, and then he really found success as an X-Men illustrator with Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon, that book, obviously Joss Whedon, how we feel about him
when he was in his heyday, when the name could be spoken. It's funny watching old episodes of Big Bang Theory, and his name will come up from time to time. Like Elon Musk had a guest starring role in an episode of that, and it was like, it was the thing. Talk to me about references and guest stars that have not aged well. You got two right there.
That would be one, yes. But Astonishing X-Men was kind of a really cool take on more of the classic X-Men. Really cool, interesting story with an interesting lineup. Really enjoyed that book when it was out back in 2004. So, but before we knew kind of some bad things. And then one of the things he really came back is an artist on Avengers, Uncanny Avengers, when that was happening. But also then he had really good success with Star Wars. So he was an artist, a primary artist on Star Wars.
And that was under the Marvel. Yeah, that's right, because he did do the launch in 2015. I remember picking up this first issue at the Vault of Midnight, which is a shop on Todd I know you're familiar with. Several locations around the state of Michigan. This one in downtown Grand Rapids, which was just right down the block from where I worked at the time when I was in radio. And I remember picking up this first issue and how exciting it was. Unfortunately, this was about 6 or 7 issues before the Everybody Gets a Lightsaber issue, which I know turned you and John off the book permanently, which is fine. I don't know how long he was involved in it, but wonderful artist. And I'm kind of picky about comic book artists in general, but I remember how much I really respected what this guy did. So do we know what he passed from? Was he ill?
I
I'm
don't,
skimming through his article.
his sister announced his death. He's 52. That's very young.
Yeah.
Not aware of if he was suffering any health issues. He was a chief creative officer of Inhumanoids, which is a publisher as well. So he is a well-respected creator, and it's kind of
Yeah.
sad to see him pass away. But as of
Without
right
a doubt.
now, we don't know why he died. But that's just sad to see someone 52, so many more years ahead, especially
Yeah.
illustrators in comics. You see people that are in their late 70s still drawing,
Right.
and
Right.
we no
Yeah.
longer
Because
get that from him.
it's not like you're going to work in the mines. You can sit and do it
I mean,
in
as
your
long as you don't
home
have like
studio.
arthritis and it goes badly, but
Ah,
still,
I
yeah.
mean, you and I both deal with
Walt
that a little bit.
Simonston is
Yeah, we're not.
still
Yeah.
drawing, and
Is he?
we got
Yeah.
some of these classic creators that are still doing their thing.
Yeah.
So,
Right. I
sad
love it.
days.
Yeah, the tough stuff. So best wishes, of course.
I mean, that's 3 years older than
Yeah.
me, Charlie. That kind of
Yeah.
like, woo, and 4
Well,
years older than you, and we feel,
I was gonna.
yeah.
Our hearts go out to his family, and always, always take care of yourself if you can. Hopefully that
Exactly.
wasn't it. But anyway, moving on, I was excited to share this movie with April this morning because my wife is really into the witchy stuff, particularly the part of the MCU that deals with that. Agatha All Along comes on this week, Wednesday. We're both
That's
very
right.
excited here. You're very excited, I know.
Yeah.
But now there's rumors going around, and this is I'd be curious to see what the source on this is. But that Elizabeth Olsen's character of the Scarlet Witch could be getting her own film in development with a couple of writers' names that I don't immediately recognize. But this is learning from Production Weekly. Don't know much about them as a source.
They kind of put out what's going on into Hollywood productions. So it's actually a resource if you just have to dig for information. So not bad.
Now, this is the character's in a tough spot because,
yes.
Starting in WandaVision, where she, created this bubble of reality, but we ultimately found out, well, she was manipulated by Agatha, which is where we're going to spin with that new series. But then taking the character into the second Doctor Strange film in 2022, where she became a bloodthirsty villain and then apparently died. So it's really interesting to me how and when we're going to see her now between this being announced, meaning it's anywhere between 3 years away or maybe longer, and the fact that the Vision series, Vision Quest or White Vision or whatever it is, has also gone into production. But
White Vision would be a very bad title.
I think so. Yeah. So, well, they had Black Panther, but yeah, that you're right. That doesn't fit the bill. Does not fit the bill at all. So it does have some speculation that Wanda could be involved in that series in some fashion, and that could then dovetail into her having her own project. So I would be very curious to see how that's all going to play out. Certainly in the Marvel comics, the character has had her ups and downs. She was responsible for House of M, the near extermination of the mutants, if I remember correctly. But that was a storyline from damn near 25.
It doesn't work when there's no mutants in the MCU yet.
Yeah, there's no mutants. Okay, we got you.
They're all dead. See, I accomplished it.
Or she could be like, no, I'm bringing them all back.
Maybe she'll kill all the maybe she'll kill all the Skrulls because we got to wrap up that part in the MCU.
Oh, Charlie. No. Inhumans. Get rid of the Inhumans.
Well, the Skrulls. Remember all the Skrulls and then we had the Super Skrull played by Emilia Clarke. We got to get rid of her. So yeah, maybe that's what we do. No more Skrulls.
Yes, we can use magic to get rid of our clear production missteps in the MCU.
All of the dangling plot points.
Yeah,
killed. Yes,
to make it. She can do this, but yeah.
But apparently they have found a writer and a partner, Jack Schaefer and Megan McDonnell, who are working on this. And quite honestly, it's very easy to flip the script, as we would say, to bring her back. Nothing is ever written in the comics that hasn't ever, been rewritten, retconned, as we would say. That's an old term in the comic books. And I am interested. Could we just get away from the fact that maybe we can bring her back to a place with the new Vision? Maybe that's where they come to terms on, we're here together, we're damaged people. You had a reboot Vision. Maybe I need one too. Right. And we give up on the whole thing about her kids because those kids were never real. They were just recreation. So maybe it's they work through that. There's some therapy done. And now we can say maybe she can come back in a different light with Vision. They find a new path and just get
Right.
rid of that all of the baggage that kind of
Well,
is holding Marvel back.
I mean, don't forget that the multiverse as it was and the what if, whatever it is, does open up the door to be like, well, this is me from a different universe, or that's how they're going to do the Fantastic Four in the film that's
Yeah.
being produced right now. And we have the Secret Wars coming up, and we have, Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom. So yeah, the multiverse stuff is going to stay in play. Because they've already involved this character in that portion of this, I have no doubt that it will be relevant in some way, shape, or form. But I like Elizabeth Olsen as an actress. I like the Scarlet Witch as a character. She's very, very important Avengers character.
I hope her
going
accent
all the
comes
way
back though.
I don't feel like she ever really gave the accent up. I think you'd have to show me something where you think she doesn't have her accent. Because I feel
Charlie,
like
in the first movie, her accent's pretty damn thick, and it comes back, and she sounds like she's from the Midwest.
I don't know. I think you're going to have to show me the instant replay on that.
Her accent is as much as it is, what is it, Latvia, wherever the hell she was from, Sokovia,
Sokovia, yes.
Yeah, as you are Canadian.
I get accused of that all the time with all my stories.
I know. No one's accused her of being Sokovian now.
Well, maybe they did, but she just made them go and all that different stuff. All right. Well, shifting gears, and obviously we don't know when we would see this. My guess is 3 or 4 years. That's my vibe. The same way that I feel like the Vision will be at least 3 years. Okay. So as you said this in our Discord earlier this week, who knew we would be looking at a trilogy for Venom, and then to have a third film where they're saying we're wrapping up the dynasty, we're doing it. I've never been a fan of these films, but Todd, I know you have a varying take. Like, hey, why not? Dumb fun. I could barely sit through that second film.
The second film was horrible, Charlie. I could at least find something fun and enjoyable in a B movie tier of the first movie. Sure. The second movie was just a hot garbage dump. And this third film, maybe they finally get it right. I don't know. But
they're putting so we got a final trailer for the third Venom film, which they're calling I do absolutely love, and it's fun that in this article that we're looking at, that they took a bit from Parks and Recreation with the wonderful Jenny Slate holding out her hand saying money please with Venom superimposed over her face. She was a character in the first film. She was one of the science people.
Oh, God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I know. So that and it just clicked with me looking at it. But the final film being called The Last Dance, which we're getting next month, I think in October. So
October 25th. It's the end of spooky season.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
in time.
And Venom in itself, he's kind of a horror character in some ways.
Yeah.
But this, much like the franchise overall, but maybe this one a little bit more, is turning more into a science fiction monster movie because and I have not really kept up with all of the Venom stuff. I was there for the character's introduction, which was in Amazing Spider-Man 299 going into 300, where he reveals himself as Spidey's new supervillain, being that Eddie Brock, whose career was destroyed by Peter Parker exposing him as a corrupt journalist, then found himself combined with Peter's black costume and blah, blah, blah. Of course, these films contain none of that because there's no Spider-Man in these Spider-Man films. The Spumco remains free of the spum part of it. The sp, it's umco. It's the part of it without Spider-Man. But yeah, we get to this and we are seeing that the overall overlord of the symbiote's home planet, which is weird, doesn't really fit into the whole Secret Wars part of it, is Null. And Null, and Todd, I told you this in the pre-roll, is actually being played by Norman Reedus of The Walking Dead.
Is it?
That's what I read. Is that not what it says
that's
in this article?
But it's not in IMDb. It's not illustrated anywhere. There's a thing coming soon.com why fans think Norman Reedus is playing Null. So I'm looking it up. There's nothing like...
Well, that's very responsible of you to double check that. But yeah, that is... I feel like something that got tossed out there this week, and maybe I fell victim to the news baiting. It was not on We Got This Covered because I stay away from that. But yeah, this was a kind of a wild trailer. I think it was set to the tune of what was I've already forgotten the song. It's a classic rock
Oh, it
song.
was Baby It's a Wild World, right?
Oh yeah, Cat Stevens. Yeah. So yeah, we're seeing
Oh,
throughout this.
no, Sundown.
No, that's in the next story we're going to talk about. The other
Oh,
trailer.
that's right. I'm getting
I
a mess. Sorry.
I
Yes,
feel like
Sundown. Yeah.
feel like you're right about that Cat Stevens one, but again, this is how prepared we are to do this. We did watch the trailer, I swear to God, but I probably watched it a couple of hours ago and I've forgotten. But yeah, so this is going to be involved run, and then we've got Juno Temple of Ted Lasso fame is the female lead. She's a scientist at the Science Institute where Eddie, I'm sure, gets locked up at some point and then escapes. But we're
Is
getting
Michelle Williams coming back?
I don't know what they did with that character. Did she get killed off in the second one?
I think she got married and ran away. Yeah, I don't see her in the credits. Basically, it's right now.
Yeah.
We've got Tom Hardy, Schweltor, Ejiofor, Juno Tempo,
yeah,
Rice
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Ifans, Peggy Lou, Ilana Urbach, and Stephen Graham. And it's interesting that Reese Ifans played the lizard.
Exactly.
Right? I mean,
and he is in the clip. He's the hippie in the van.
Hippie man. Yeah.
He ends up at some point. Eddie ends up in a hitches a ride in a van, a la the like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back when he's with the Scooby Doo gang. That's what it made me think of. And he's the Stifler character. He's the Sean Patrick Scott.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then we do have the one guy who's in the symbiote prison, Stephen Graham as Patrick Mulligan, a detective who previously encountered Eddie and is imbued with a symbiote named Toxin. So,
there you go. Okay,
so we're going to have another Venom character, and then Null. All we got in the trailer was a picture of a guy with straggly white hair. So Norman Reedus probably would work for straggly white hair.
That's how they faked me out. Well, dear listeners, my apologies. But yes, we get this, as we said, in a little over a month's time. We'll see it because Todd and I are going to talk about it. But I got to keep my expectations rock bottom low after that second film, which was I just don't even know what they were thinking about. Now, is the Spumco starting to wind down after the?
It feels like it because what's left?
Yeah, colossal string of failures.
Oh, Craven is what's left. That's the only thing that's still like they've shown us that actually is going to be made. Yeah. Everything else, except maybe the Spider-Man Noir show, I think is the only thing that maybe is still like has some heat.
But on the big screen, I feel like
nothing is
kind of finny. I mean,
Madam Web is not getting a sequel. Sorry, Charlie.
Madam Web was a colossal failure. Morbius was a colossal critical failure. I know for a fact. I don't know how it did at the box office. So what I'm very curious to know, as it relates to the big screen, what comes next for Spider-Man related characters. I feel like this week we got to drop that, or maybe at least a little bit of news that Tom Holland Spider-Man is coming back and Miles Morales was going to be a part of it, but it's just rumors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious how they're going to kind of drive the boat on that one. But anyway, as far as this movie goes, we'll see it. And I'm sure many of you will see it, and we will have, if not a full spoiler cast, we'll do something similar to what we did last week with Beetlejuice, and we'll have an extended segment.
The Geek Easy.
Yeah, we'll toss it. Yeah, tossing it in the Geek Easy sounds like code for like a gangland execution. Oh, we'll toss it in the Geek Easy, two behind the ear. Yeah, exactly. So, I'm sorry, you had a subheader on this. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a pretty quick thing. So the creators of Null said that they want their money or want something for having their character included. And quite honestly, when it comes to creators wanting some type of financial remuneration done, when you work for, unless it's in your contract that if a character you make shows up on the screen, you're not getting anything. So
you know what, Todd? I got several words for you to string that together. Blunt Man and Chronic. Remember that entire movie?
Absolutely.
That was the plot line of, I mentioned Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back for the second time. I had brought up in conversation with April earlier this week. I have to watch that one again. That was one of Kevin Smith's later movies that I can actually stomach because it's fun, where you get into the stuff he's made, in the later 2000s, and there's not a lot of fun to be had in Tusk. I'll just tell you right now. Oh, sorry, Kevin Smith.
I'm perfectly fine with Kevin Smith
Yeah.
doing what he wants to do, and I don't have to watch it. So
As long as you
there
don't
you
have to see
go.
it.
Take that, yoga hosers.
Oh, so painful. All right, I watched this trailer this afternoon, and
Yes.
this is out the first part of next month, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But this is over on Max, and it is a new interpretation of Stephen King's classic Salem's Lot. And April's first question was, it looks better than this was a TV movie. We talked about this. You and I talked
from
about
the
this
80s.
recently.
Yeah, the early 80s. David Soul. It was a mini series. I think it was maybe 2 to 3 parts, and I enjoyed it. But it was from 1980 on TV.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, do your math on that. But yeah, it follows your very typical Stephen King archetypes. It's a small town in Maine called Salem's Lot, or the Lot, as the locals refer to it as. Do we have any name stars in this one? I feel like I recognize a person or two.
We've got what's her name?
Oh yeah, what's her name?
Very
Got
famous actress. Very famous actress. What is her name? I'm looking for it. Looking here. Lewis Pullman is Ben. So we've got Bob playing
Bob.
Ben. Mackenzie Lee, Alfred Woodard.
Alfred
John
Woodard.
Benjamin Hickey, Bill Camp, Jordan Preston Carter, Nicholas Cravetti, William Sadler. Obviously, William Sadler is great.
Yep.
And we've got the son of from The Boys, the main bad guy.
Oh,
his
son.
son.
The son. Okay.
Yes, he plays the little boy you see as kind of
who's tapping on the window.
A vampire.
Yeah,
yes.
So
that's going to be great.
Let me in. So I'm really looking forward to this. This is a standalone original film, so it's not a mini series per se. I would assume it'll be a feature length, so 90 minutes or more. But yeah, perfect. Oh, it says October 11th. You wrote down. Thank you very much.
Correct.
I knew it was that first part of October. So yeah, that looks
really
great.
Good.
Yeah,
great, good, very good trailer. They had that song "Sundown" by Gordon Lightfoot.
Yeah,
worked really well for
Gordon
it.
Lightfoot
gave me the vibes.
Is one of my father's all-time favorite musicians, and
I think everyone over the age of 70 loves Gordon Lightfoot.
Exactly, Charlie. And he's Canadian, which being from Detroit, that's a big deal to us.
And the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yep, absolutely.
Fun fact by people from Michigan.
Oh my God!
Great Lakes drama turned into a song.
Oh my God! Yes, our international listeners and people who don't live in the Midwest are probably like, "What are these idiots talking about?" Edmund, what now? Isn't that a beer from the what's the brewery that does Edmund Fitz? It's on tap at my local place.
Oh, that is Great Lakes Brewing in Cleveland.
Yes.
Great brewery.
Stuff. Yeah, and a great Big Bob's. Friend of the show, keeps on tap. Yeah, all right. Well, you're familiar with the show and I'm not. So you take it away, talk about Good Omens ending.
Yes, this is very sad news because Neil Gaiman is, a lot of people look at him as like he's a geek who's done well. Every time he's involved in something, he's usually on the right side of everything.
Uh-oh.
And he has made the show Good Omens, which I loved to pieces. First season was amazing. I need to watch the second season. It's a great show, Charlie. You would love it. John Hamm is in it. Yeah, it's great. David Tennant and blanking on his name.
Michael Sheen.
Yes, basically playing angels and a devil. Really good. John Hamm's great. He plays one of the heavenly hosts that comes down and manages things. Really enjoyed it. Season 3 is basically being halted because Neil Gaiman there's accusations about misconduct by Mr. Gaiman.
Damn it.
Yes. And that is a shame because he's a great creator and leads us back to how do you separate the good and the bad and the ugly from creators that
Joss Whedon, J.K. Rowling. Yeah. How do you do it?
So what do you say? So you say anything they did in the past before you knew is okay, but everything new is bad. But then you think of like who would be employed by this? Yes, he's going to make money, like J.K. Rowling's. So it's really sad because a lot of people find joy in those creations, regardless of the creator.
Yeah. Or it's for a consumer, ignorance of that kind of thing can be bliss, but that doesn't mean that you turn a blind eye to it. But again, it's a slippery slope because as a consumer, you don't have any involvement around that kind of thing or influence at all. If you grew up tied again, back to Joss Whedon, you grew up, not grew up, but as a young adult, you loved his work. I loved the Buffy movie that came out in 92. That was fun and exciting. The Buffy series, the Angel series that
We just talked
spawned
about the
off of it.
comic book that John Cassidy did with him. That it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
yeah,
But yeah, you find out that he's not a good guy. I mean, rock music is very much the same. I love, for example, classic rock artist the late Warren Zevon. Produced great, insightful music. He was the musician's musician. Bruce Springsteen, Jackson Browne, those guys all loved him. He was not a good guy. Not a good guy in any way, shape, or form. Because I've read his autobiography, assuming that most of that is true, written by him or written by people who know. So yeah, art, separating the art from the artist, I don't even think you can really draw a solid, well, this is how you approach it or think about it in this way. I don't really I guess it depends on what it is. I mean, if it's something, if it's sexual assault, God forbid, or if it's some kind of with J.K. Rowling, if that part of it touches your life, I'm sure it's much more impactful to somebody who it doesn't touch their life. And maybe you're like, that's terrible, but it doesn't mean I hate the work. Or maybe it's terrible, so everything is tainted and I can never touch it again, or I can never care for it again. I just don't know.
yeah. There's a podcast from Tortoise Media called Master: The Allegations Against Neil Gaiman, which at that point,
You have a whole podcast
he's accused of
about,
sexual. Yeah, he's accused of sexual assault. Where then at this point, it's like, do you wait out the legal proceedings to see if he truly is guilty? I mean, you want to allow people that have allegations to have their day in court. So
Right.
then, is it the right thing just to say pause it all? Then, but it is it's a sticky wicket, man. It's like you
Yeah.
want to make sure that victims are heard and
Right.
given their day in court, but you also want to say, is every allegation should it be vetted out before it's brought forward? I don't know.
In the court of public opinion, no, because people catch wind of this and they're, especially in recent years with the Me Too movement as it relates back to this,
Yeah.
And Harvey Weinstein. But again, he was definitely guilty, proved conclusively by a ton of witnesses and stuff. But this says the accusations came out in July, which was just a few months ago. So obviously the discovery process behind this is still happening. But
There's a lot of livelihoods on the line.
Yeah,
It's other people that had
right.
nothing to do with Neil Gaiman
Right.
doing this that are trying to earn a paycheck by
Right.
writing and things like that. So it should
Right.
be like, and maybe Neil Gaiman should just say, hey, I want all proceeds that I would earn from this to go towards victims' rights. And at least we could say he's not profiting from his
Right.
bad behavior. I don't know.
Right. Or he just ejects himself and says, please carry on the show without me. I mean,
he's
like
no
you
longer
said,
involved in it. Yep. And he
Yeah.
says, I won't be making money off of this, but I want the cast members and I will, have my day in court. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's shitty.
It would be great if it was that cut and dry. But again, because this is, sexual assault is, it's terrible in the entertainment industry, obviously.
The burden of proof is so hard. It's so
Right.
frustrating and it's so demeaning to everybody involved.
Right. Well, when there's blood in the water and an accusation has been made, you're right there. People who just their minds are just made up. In the court of public opinion, as I said, let the legal process move forward, but hopefully there will be some deference to, again, the people who lose their jobs with this kind of stuff. I talked on Holocron with Mark about The Alkalite, which was unfortunately a very unpopular recent Star Wars production that got canceled. And you have people in fandom like, yay, it got canceled. I'm not excited it got canceled. I'm not excited that this whole group of people lost a job, because, hey, I've been on the job hunt for a number of times in my career. It's not fun to look for a new job, and that unemployment creates uncertainty.
Especially if you had nothing to do with what is driving all of the drama. Yeah.
You just have to deal with it. So I would say best of luck to everyone involved in this production. And I hope that justice is served. And if in fact he is guilty of that, I hope that it's proved and justice is done. But I hope for the best for these people, because that is just unbelievably tough.
Yes.
Unbelievably tough. All right. Well, that takes us out of the news. We are due at the Geek Easy. Got to get out my Fuber app, my feeble Uber app, order up that nasty cab. Oh, smells like a hot garbage dump in here, but he's got the air conditioning running, which you think would help, but it doesn't. But he's got the AM radio plan.
Probably going to make people puke.
Oh my God. Okay, just push it out. Push it out. You got 2 air fresheners in your pocket, but the AM radio's playing, and I hear this advertisement.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geeky Z cover band's playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. So I am back into the world of Middle Earth with The Rings of Power Season 2. I watched the first episode, and man, oh man, this is so much fun. I'm really digging the show. This is the prequel. 1,000 years.
Wait a second. You're saying
this
second season is a prequel to the first season?
No. The whole show is a prequel, Charlie. Sorry.
I know. We watched a few episodes of the first season. As you know, it's not my thing. So
it's a slog. Yeah, the first season was a slog. It finally caught really some momentum. I really enjoyed it, and then it kicked off. This first episode is really awesome. This is all about the rings of power being created. So we're finally getting there, and things are coming forward, which I really dig it. And this is really Sauron's story, which I find interesting because it's really the way they managed the first episode. It really changed my idea of what is possible with the show and what they did. So I'm really excited about this season because some people are frustrated. Some people say this is a very complex show. Like, I need to know way too much about it. It's very dense. And so they said it's dense and I feel dense. And I'm like, yeah, you might.
This is making me dense.
Yeah. And then somebody's like, they talk about Elvish, and I'm like, but it's not the Elvish. What is it? The elfin magic? No, it's not the Keebler elves. This is about the regular elves in Elvendor.
You're saying that there are no cookies in this show at the end of it?
No cookies. No cookies.
Like, gimme. So, you know, I'm curious about shows like this. Being that this is a multi-million-dollar epic and they spend gajillions on it. And we know that Amazon is, Bezos is, richer than Abraham Lincoln, or, with more money than Davy Crockett. I was drawing from my Forrest Gumpisms.
Davy Crockett has money. I did not know he was the Baron of Beaver Baron.
Don't you know that? Don't you remember that was one of his lines when Forrest sitting on the bump, the bus bench, speaking to the woman, says, "Yes, ma'am, we've got more money than Davy Crockett." Bubblegum shrimp. How do they make money on a show like this? How do they draw? How do they draw in more subscribers when it feels like almost everyone in the universe has Amazon Prime and would get it anyway?
This is more to retain subscribers by adding value, Charlie, because as the cost of Prime goes up every year, people may say, well, is it worth it for 2 days? Exactly. And it's like, well, now I got Amazon Music, I got this. So it's not just the delivery. So when it was just the delivery, you're like, I get all this extra stuff. Now it's like, well, I got all this extra stuff and delivery's still around. And now they get, maybe your stuff doesn't show up on time, or maybe it's like, oh, it takes 5 days to that. So this is really like adding value outside of that. Like, now there's NFL games. So you think how much the NFL games on Prime cost, you think that was cheap. So anybody that doesn't care about that stuff, now you're basically bearing the burden of any Prime increases that you don't care about what they're offering. So some people that doesn't want the TV shows, people don't want that, and they get that. I think this is what Amazon's play was basically. We need people to subscribe to Prime, and you're going to pay for all this extra stuff even if you don't want it. It was kind of like the people that subscribed to cable and got ESPN. I'm like, I don't watch sports. Why am I paying for sports when I don't watch it? So this will turn into a point where people will say, is Amazon Prime worth the value at $200 a year?
Yeah, right.
Because it's now what, 130, 140?
I thought it was pretty close to $1.50. I'm not sure, but it was $1.20 2 years ago, or maybe
it was
less.
$79 when it kicked off.
Yeah, exactly. So they're just if you're wondering, obviously that's where the money's coming from. But is it really but yeah, as a retention tool, it's your loss leader. It's your, it's your gum aisle as you're standing in line at Meijer. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, I really need an air freshener and gum, and second air freshener reference to the show. Sorry. It doesn't smell bad in here, by the way, just in case you were wondering.
Charlie, you're making people like don't want smell-o-vision for this podcast.
Oh, you don't think
but
so?
I would say at this point, it's like if you don't feel it's worth the money, you can still get like free shipping if you spend $35 on Amazon. So it might be a
Right.
point where you just say, I don't need all that extra stuff, but if you want all that extra stuff, it's there, and it's adding value to you if you use most of it.
Could be.
Yeah,
Well,
but it's
so
season 2.
You've watched the first episode. How many episodes? 6, 8?
There should be like 8, and I can't remember how many seasons have been approved, but this is a very expensive show.
Oh,
so
of course.
I don't know how the viewership is going and if Amazon even cares, but maybe a scenario is like, well, people are going to turn in for Jack Reacher. Do we really need to spend $500 million on another season of the show? I don't know.
Right.
I'm enjoying it while it lasts.
Yeah, like I said, I've always been somewhat mystified how streamers like Netflix and then this arm of it and Matt, like how are they making the money on the original
retention?
So,
it's about retention, Charlie.
Retaining water, except the water is dollars. Retaining dollars. Awesome. Okay, well, I saw one thing and I read a couple of different comics, but we went to the movies. I was kind of hesitant to see this movie because the trailer was creepy as shit. But it is Speak No Evil, and I learned a little bit about this. April and I were talking about this on our walk yesterday because we saw it on Thursday or Friday, I think Friday night. This was based off of a Danish film. Back in the gentleman who I don't have it up right now, but the gentleman who wrote that original screenplay based it off of an experience that he had when he and his wife or his family in general were on holiday. They met another couple from another place. Vacation ended, they went their separate ways, and at a later point the Danish writer receives a postcard. Hey, it was great to meet you, come stay at our country house if you're ever in the blah blah. And this guy said, yeah, I don't think I'd be comfortable with that, but what if I did and all this fantastical horrible stuff happened? And that's how he wrote the screenplay. Basically, to break it down, we have 2 stars in this film. We have Mackenzie Davis, who you've seen. She was in one of the Terminator films, and I think she was in that Station 11 adaptation, which is set in Michigan, about post-apocalyptic Michigan. And then you, of course, have James McAvoy, Professor Xavier, and star of many, many other things.
And Scoot McNairy, the name that Scoot is not a real name, sorry, but you can't be a Scoot.
That's a big pass on that. But it's the exact thing. So this, they are an American couple who live in London. They're on vacation in Italy, and they bump into another couple played by McAvoy and Lily. I think it's Lily James. I didn't look it up, but it took me a minute.
Aisling Franciosi.
It's 100% looks like Lily James. If she has,
she's very attractive lady. Yes, but
exactly.
Not her.
But not like I was positive it was Lily James. But anyway, they're there on holiday, and it's same thing. Holiday ends. Our people. Oh, and Mackenzie Davis and her husband have a daughter who's she's a little fragile, has a stuffed animal she sleeps with and has a tough time managing her emotions and stuff, who's she's 10, 11 years old. And this other couple have a son who is mute, who McAvoy's character, who is a doctor, says, well, he's got this condition with his tongue and blah, blah, and he really can't, his tongue is too small and he can't speak, and he gives it a name, and I'm curious if it's a real thing. But not to give anything away.
Tiny tongueitis?
Tiny tongueitis. That's the exact name of it.
I love it.
So anyway, our main characters go home, and just like with what I described to you, they receive a postcard. Hey, come visit us in the countryside. And then this ties right back into obviously what you saw in the trailer. They do go to visit them in the countryside, and everything is weird and really kind of off-putting. And naturally, there's a dark secret contained. What? But it's called Speak No Evil because, again, the young boy who is their son cannot speak. So anyway, this is in theaters now. It just came out. I didn't look at any of the facts and figures from it. It is a Blumhouse, so it's made
20 million gross against a budget of 50 million. So small budget.
Yeah, so they're on their way.
Is it good or bad? Would you give it a Charlie's thumbs up or thumbs down?
You know what? Even if you mean best movie ever, worst movie ever?
Good or bad? Would you
Um,
recommend me to see it?
I would
Because you thought you enjoyed it versus it's
yeah.
bad, but watch it anyways.
I would no, it was not one of those. It's not ending up on Bad Trip to the Movies with the Cardins.
Okay.
Yes, good movie. And
Okay.
again, I was hesitant because I found the trailer a bit creepy.
Yes.
April kind of pushed
Unnerving.
me over. Yeah, she kind of pushed me over the line. We went to go see it, so it was great. I
Good.
didn't necessarily figure out the twist, but it's a very dark twist. So
Ooh.
yeah, go check it out. I thought it was plenty dark, and hopefully I've
Is this tied to M. Night Shyamalan? Like, yep, it's what's his name? The Beast from
Oh, I've got it. You know
Glass.
what? Because it's because M. Night Shyamalan's last film had no twist. This guy stole the twist. This is the twist of 2024.
Ah, that's the twist. He stole
That
the
is
twist.
The twist is it's not immutable as far as not being stolen. So
Twister the movie. There we go. That's how we make a Twister movie.
I love it. Exactly. I read 2 comics this week, but for sake of brevity, I picked the better of the 2. I'm actually branching out into, in addition to having Marvel Unlimited, subscribing to some series here and there that are actual monthly series. I get a date and drop. I do that with the G.I. Joe miniseries, though one of them was really delayed. I think the last issue of Destro has been pushed back 2 or 3 weeks. So I've not seen it, or the most recent issue. Issue 4 has been pushed because I keep getting, your thing has been pushed. So I'm current with that, but it's not, the most recent issue has been put out. But I read the final issue of Volume 2 of Star Wars, which I think I talked about in a recent issue. It was extra long length, and it was okay. I think the second volume of that series has been better than the first volume of that series, and now they're going to move into your post Return of the Jedi timeframe with a miniseries, which I'm also signed up to get. That's going to hit in November. But I read that, and the other one I read, and I was teased about this, and I got to tell you, I was sucked in by the jackets because they have new outfits. But it is Avengers Assemble. But think about this: the E.R.S. at the end of Avengers stands for Emergency Response Squad. So
Not
what a big,
system.
and it is
Not
set
a
in.
call-in.
Maybe, it's not a call-in show. Basically, the setting is Avengers Mansion, which the most recent time that I was reading the Avengers, their headquarters was in the Antarctic in the body of a hollowed-out Eternal, a la what you see in the.
Seems like it's got great bones.
Exactly. Yeah, literally. But would you want to live in the Arctic? And then obviously they came and went. But this is back in the Avengers Mansion, so it's a classic setting, and you have a group. I would liken this to the 1970s and 80s Marvel title, The Defenders. You don't have a solid group of, here's a mission, we're having because the Avengers is very parliamentary procedure.
Sounds like my bowling team, Charlie. I'm like, hey, I need some subs. Are you available Wednesday? Sure.
It's
the
exact same kind of deal. You're on the roster of the E.R.S. squad, and you just show up. And that's what happens in this. So we open up with Cap and Carol Danvers, and then Photon, who's Monica Rambeau, shows up. Janet Van Dyne, who's the Wasp, shows up, and they've got an emergency. They have to go overseas to fight the daughter of the Red Skull, who is called Sin. That's a throwback to the Mark Gruenwald Captain America stuff.
She sounds like an 80s image. It sounds like an 80s image or like a early 2000s image character.
Yeah, like Witchblade. But so they have to go and fight Sin. Sin's ability is to project negative emotion on people and make them act crazy and stuff. Very classic.
She's got my power.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah, Todd's negativity makes me crazy.
Yes.
But at the same time, what she's doing is a cover for the Return of the Serpent Society, which is very timely because Sidewinder, who's the head of the Serpent Society, is going to be one of the main villains in Captain America: Brave New World, played by Giancarlo Esposito, coming up in February. So that's very good timing. While our heroes are fighting overseas, other members of the who are called to the E.R.S. I can't keep looking back because I don't want to say the wrong letters of the E.R.S. squad. Into the E.R. E.R.'s.
Going to urgent care. Avengers urgent care.
Avengers urgent care. Yes. But no, we get other here. We get Hercules shows up. Wonder Man, which is what sucked me in. I love Wonder Man as a character. Hawkeye shows up. She-Hulk shows up, and they're all sitting around at one of your typical Avengers big round tables, and they're playing cards, and having a good time and chuckling. But this is
What's their card game of choice?
I,
Pinochle?
I
Is it canasta? Is it
Oh, Todd,
euchre?
you'll love this. It's euchre. Yeah, it's euchre because
What?
one of the characters must be from Michigan. No, I don't recall. I'm sure it's poker.
Yeah,
But
probably.
anyway, this is a limited series, which again,
Okay.
I'm
That's
a
a good
big
idea.
I'm a big believer in the limited
Yeah.
series. You don't wear out your welcome, and if enough people love it, you come back with another limited series. Just give it
Yes.
to us in chunks, because then you don't get, oh, I love this title and I got 11 issues out of it and nobody else read it, so it's canceled.
And then you're launching a new number one, and it's like, really, we're doing this again? Yes, we
Right.
are.
Exactly correct. So I'd recommend that. That's available on Comixology or Kindle if you prefer. And of course, Speak No Evil is currently in theaters. So that's what I'm recommending this week. So with that, we are out of here. Skipping out on the bill yet again. We don't like to mess around with these people at the Geek Easy, but you know what? We don't do that. We can't stay away. But I've got out my Air Qantas app, my app to get us down to the land down under, because Hologram Tina and the mutants await. It is time for our annual fall media preview. Let's go for it.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. We're sitting the Geek Easy. Oh, no, we are not. Oh, my God. I have not left. Let me start again.
It's the jet lag.
Thank you, Tina. We're sitting in the Thunderdome, where the mutants have been gathered for a topic or game to be entertained. This week, we're doing our fall media preview with a emphasis on the geek part of that. We're going to start with movies, Charlie. So at this point, we're in September. We already had Beetlejuice. That's kind of like the big geek movie that already started. It's doing very well. We enjoyed that. But the next one is Transformers 1. So we'll be talking about that next week. That should be a lot of fun. This is the first animated movie from the Transformers in almost 40 years, I guess.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's a little bit less than 40 years. But we're getting basically the original origin story of the Transformers with Pax Orion. We've got D16, aka Megatron, Chris Hemsworth. I think we've talked about this movie enough. I think this looks like a much better Transformers movie than we've had in years.
Deciding to do something fun with it and give you, because I think we got Scarlett Johansson is in this. John Hamm, I think. I know Brian Tyree. Brian Tyree. What the hell is his last name? From Atlanta.
Brian Tyree Henry.
I know it was an H. So good for the Transformers for figuring out they've got to do something fun, not something racist or obnoxious, which is usually what those movies have ended up being. I hate to say it, but
there's a seriously lack of Marky Mark, and I prove that.
Oh my gosh, yes, exactly. I'll say he's welcome. All right, I saw a trailer for this one Friday night. It's The Substance, which also comes out next week. Yeah, this is
interesting.
This is Demi Moore, who gets hooked up on this youth drug. Because she's a woman of a certain age, and she gets hooked on this youth drug that has a very specific regimen of how often that you can take it, and she starts to abuse it. What's interesting is when she takes it, she becomes a younger actress, which of course you have to do it. Yeah. That's what that is what the trailer made it look like, unless I was
I need to watch the trailer because I don't see a link to it, but I find that interesting. I heard it's great that she's coming back, because I hate to see like actresses or actors that just go into obsolescence. So tell me more.
And a lot of it, and of course, obviously, this film really hits the nail on the head, because it deals with the perception of women in particular as they age in Hollywood. So I think this looks fascinating. So I think we'll be seeing this one without a doubt. So all right, what's next?
The Wild Robot. There's been a lot of trailers for this film. It looks very cute. It's basically from the director of Lilo Stitch. You've got this kind of gives me WALL-E vibes, so I'm very excited about this. Looks very cute, very fun. I hope this finds an audience. My wife saw a trailer; she's down for this. So
cool.
This movie looks very, very cute. What's next, Charlie?
Megalopolis is at the end of the month. This movie is already kind of being teed up to be unsuccessful. And the trailer this is the passion project of Francis Ford Coppola, as I understand it. And I'm sure that the budget behind it is massively unbelievable.
$115 self-funded too.
115 bucks. That's what you just
150
said.
million self-funded. Yes,
Oh my
150
gosh.
million.
Yeah. So I think that's gonna hurt. So I don't necessarily see me seeing this one in the theaters. I just it's got bad buzz for me, but I don't know. I'm not ruling it out, but I
I
don't
may have to take the hit for this one, Charlie. I may have to see this one. I
Okay,
am mildly
okay.
entertained by one of the greatest directors of all time, making something that people are just like, what the hell?
What the hell? Yeah, like Cloud Atlas, right?
Yeah.
All right. And we're getting into October. What do we got?
Yeah, so we got Joker Folie à Deux, October 4th. So this is the sequel to the previous Joker film. This is going to be a focus of Joaquin Phoenix with his character, where essentially it's going to be a legal trial film where the Joker's on trial, tied together with the Joker in prison. He meets Harley Quinn, and they fall in love, and it's going to have elements of music. I am hearing this movie is kind of a mixed bag already, but I am all in on this.
I've got I do love Lady Gaga, who's obviously playing Harley. But yeah, my most recent experience with musicals was the Strange New Worlds musical, and I didn't enjoy it. But as a matter of protocol, I'm sure we'll see this film too. I just don't know. But again, that Joker movie was so impactful, and it was one of the last things we talked with our late friend Bobby Pauls about. So it's very emotional. But it was exceptional. It was a very successful film as well for an R-rated film. So while I'm sure we'll see it, I'm just not I'm not busting at the gate to see it. But yeah, I would love to be proved that it's something super great, and I'm just that it defies my expectations, and I'm like, I just don't know.
Yeah, I need to see it just to feel like what they're going for, because I know it will probably be like that first movie did so well, but it was also very dark, and maybe it's just going to get more scrutiny because of the success it was. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's tough. Skipping ahead, I assume these next couples don't really grab you, but we get to the Big Smile.
Yes, the movie. I have not seen the original.
Oh, you should see it. You should.
I will see it.
Absolutely see it.
Probably next weekend. I'll watch it on the weekend.
The Smile is it's kind of shticky in the same way that Final Destination, which Todd and I were talking about, or The Ring, which we also is a horror movie we rewatched again recently. But yeah, it has to do with when someone is going to die because they're being chased by an attachment of death. They have this rictus smile, and then they commit suicide. They do something. They self-harm themselves to death, I guess.
Okay. So there's no they're not killing other people. They're actually just going to kill themselves.
Yeah. No. I mean, you've seen the trailer, right? So there's a guy there's the guy in the trailer who approaches our very Lady Gaga like star or Chappell Roan, who I understand is the new hot pop star, though I don't know a lot about her. But it's the same thing. She comes home one night and her boyfriend is flipping out, screaming at someone who's not there, and then he grabs a big rictus smile, and then he grabs a free weight and smashes his head against it. It's from the trailer.
What's better than killing you? If they're just killing themselves, hey, have your own smile.
Yeah,
and then but it gets transferred. You're like, what? It's like that. It Follows smile. Movie, right?
Right, exactly. Or the Ring. You know what I mean? So 7 days. So so this is. I mean, the first movie didn't have a happy ending, as you can imagine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm sorry. Shouldn't have said that.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm okay with that. That's good to know.
But yes, go and check that out. And then the next one is we already talked about Venom that comes out October 25.
Venom Last 25. And then I'll get to the next film. This was a weird one. Back in Action. This is the movie that Jamie Foxx has been going through some health issues. This movie is the last movie that he had been making with Cameron Diaz, and it's kind of like, once again, Charlie, apparently everybody is a serial or like a hitman or a CIA agent in disguise,
right? And
this is the same thing.
And this is on Netflix, by the way, just so you know. It's not a wide release.
No, but it just feels like everybody. How many people are really either hitmen or CIA agents undercover? Feels like majority of the movies that come out that's what it's involved.
You don't know. Yeah. You can't know. You can't know what they do.
Apparently, maybe I am, and I just haven't been activated. Who knows? But this movie, Jamie Foxx, he seems he's going down a path of like he's going to
Yeah.
start being on like Stars films and things like
I
that.
guess.
So we'll see how that goes.
Cameron Diaz, I thought she was out of the business. I couldn't.
Oh,
tell
she
you.
stopped making
Yeah,
movies
I
too.
couldn't
Yeah,
tell you
she
the
was
last thing I even saw
because
her
she's
in.
married to Benji Madden.
Oh, yeah.
From Rock Band, and they're very happy.
Right. That's okay. All right. Get ready for more legacy sequels. We know there have been some that are big and successful, but this is the second film about Gladiator. Now, the first Gladiator film came out in 2000. Russell Crowe was the star.
Oh,
And yeah.
are you not entertained, Charlie? Are you not entertained?
It was a great flick. It was a great flick. I'll have to rewatch it before we go see this because I'm sure you and I will be talking about this. But so this is I believe kind of a real time evolution because you take the kid. I think it's the kid from the first film. And then you jump it forward and seeing his story. But of course, you've now matched it up. We've talked about this on the show before. You're matching it up with Denzel Washington. You're matching it up with the Mandalorian himself. So you got some star power behind this. My question is, how successful was the original Gladiator film? Was it a
Oh, it was an Oscar winner. I mean, and that made Russell Crowe's career. But I mean, I remember seeing it, and I'm like, this movie did very well.
Right.
Look at the box office performance. But this goes back to the director, who seems like he keeps going back to his previous movies.
Yeah, just bump him forward.
Yeah, and it just seems like is it worth it for Russell?
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean not Russell.
Ridley Scott. Ridley
Scott. Is it worth it to go back to your old stuff or do something new? He's done that with Aliens. He's done that with this. And should he be doing something new? But you know what? Why not? I enjoy Gladiator.
And he's an older fella, so maybe he wants to stick with something that I think is going to work out. So so I'm interested in this. Todd, musicals. The next film is a musical. It's highly anticipated by all the remember the theater kid that we saw in the piano bar when we were in Chicago. This is someone who'll be first in line to see this movie. What is it?
Yeah, and it's funny because you talked about Chaperone. Like they did Hot to Go, HOTTOGO. Hot to Go. Yeah. So that's Chaperone, Charlie. Sorry if you're not up to into with the cool kids.
I heard that somewhere in the last week.
Oh
or
yeah.
So.
Yeah. She is the new theater kid that is found in love. So appreciate Chaperone. Wicked. Yeah. This is going to be the convergence of the book by I think it was Brian Maguire, who's the writer of this actual property that got converted into a musical, now is becoming a movie, and it's going to be in two parts. And you got Ariana Grande playing Galinda, which is the name. Galinda. It's great. We've actually seen it in Minneapolis on stage.
Oh, very nice.
My wife went to see it in Broadway in New York, and it's amazing. And it's basically retelling of Wizard of Oz with the two people with Elphaba and Galinda. And this is the half. I don't know how they're going to cut it in two, but this will be big.
Yeah,
I think it'll do well.
Yeah,
this is kind of like the big Thanksgiving movie.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you that it'll do well. And speaking of things that'll do well, coming out, not really as counter programming, but something that will probably take a stab out of the second week box office.
Oh yeah,
is the sequel to Moana. That kind of came out kind of a weird period where I didn't have a kid around to make me watch it all the time. I watched it with my brother-in-law's kids once, and I remember nothing. But I get the concept. It's it's the South Seas. It's The Rock voicing a character that looks like him, and this is Finding Dory too. You know what I mean? It was a huge film, and this is the follow up to that. But because it's only the second film, not the fourth film, like it was with Despicable Me over the summer, it probably stands a good chance of being very successful. Especially because of the time frame. Kids out of school for a couple days, take them to the movies. Boom.
I love the first movie. Logan, this is probably one of his favorite Disney movies of all time. He watched it completely all over again because the music's so good. The Rock is amazing in this. It's very fun. And it's really a fun movie. And the second one, this one's a weird one because apparently this was made to be a Disney Plus series, and they were actually making it into a movie now. So I don't know if it will have the care that we want from a movie, but if everybody's all in, why not? And I would recommend Once again, you've seen it already, so I wouldn't say watch it again just because but maybe when this hits Disney Plus, watch this one.
Probably.
Yeah. Don't spend the $20 to see it in theater if you don't need to.
Well,
the next film is weird because it's the Lord of the Rings, the War of the Rohirrim.
yeah.
This is a weird anime version of the Lord of the Rings. This is a prequel, and I am curious if this is going to find any fan base because this is definitely an anime film. So
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of.
It's limited. Yeah, it definitely is a limited.
Definitely
reach.
a limited appeal. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this will be probably not at the level of any success that we've seen with the other Lord of the Rings films, but I'm
Right.
guessing this will get its fan base there that
Yeah.
wants an anime version of this, and that it will be
Right.
on Max eventually.
Oh, gotcha. So it's a wide release. It'll be in theaters. So what you're telling me.
It will be, but yeah, it's a
Okay,
weird
gotcha.
choice for sure.
So wrapping up, as we said a little bit early, the Spumco, the Spider-Man cinematic Sony, the Spum, is Kraven the Hunter, which was delayed from the summer. Don't know if that's going to help it. Comes out December 13th.
Yeah.
We have it's Aaron Taylor Johnson, who was Quicksilver
Yes.
in
Who I like.
Yeah, I like him in Avengers 2 or Avengers Age of Ultron.
And Bullet Train. A very likable guy.
Yeah, he is playing one of Spider-Man's oldest villains. That was the first really old comic I ever owned. It was Amazing Spider-Man 15, which was probably from 1965, first appearance of Kraven the Hunter. It was a gift from my mom's boyfriend when I was growing up.
Do you still own it?
No, I sold my comics years ago.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. But
I
it's still
was gonna
wow.
say
That would be one that had some value.
It was a very, very dog-eared copy. It was an. I would say.
Did you write Charlie's copy of comics? Don't touch.
It came to me that way. It was probably poor to low fare, I would say, as far as grading.
Full of mold.
It really did not smell great. But this is an R-rated, very violent. Even from the trailers, there's been a green and a red band trailer over it. I also know that Russell Crowe is playing the Uber Dad character, and I believe you're also seeing Kraven's brother, or a close associate. Kraven's brother in the comics is the Chameleon, which was Spider-Man's.
And they say,
first villain.
Chameleon's in this.
Yeah, the Spider-Man's.
Calypso. Who's Calypso, Charlie?
Calypso was his lover. Kraven's lover.
Okay, and then Rhino's in this too. Interesting.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so we're getting, but again, when you collect all the Spider-Man pieces without Spider-Man, it's not proven to be a real crowd winner.
No.
So my vibe is that, especially since we've heard nothing about other projects, this might be the end. I feel like this.
Yeah, this is the last one I think that has any actual production completion.
Right. So what will the Spumco do now? Well, you know what? They'll move back into the animated Spider-Verse films because those
Spider-Verse, which feels completely different than this.
Yes. So real quickly, next we have another live action Lion King. I could not make it through the first one, so that is definitely not.
This is weird. It's a prequel, Mufasa Lion King, a prequel. Don't know if this will get any attention, and obviously you don't have the songs to back it up either.
Yeah,
but you know what, Charlie? It's going to have Beyonce and Blue Ivy in it, so that's a thing.
It's absolutely a thing. We talked about Sonic the Hedgehog not that long ago.
Looks fun. December 20th.
Does look fun. And then ending this list, your Christmas delight is Nosferatu on December 25, directed by the director of The Witch and The Northman, which are both movies that we love and have talked about on this show.
But those are not feel-good films.
I know. So it's weird. We got Lily Rose Depp and Willem Dafoe and of course the Skarsgård, because you can't have a horror movie these days without Skarsgård. All right, so that takes us out of the movies. Definitely some fun stuff. April and I do the movies because we belong to the club at the local theater, so we go see things without guilt or expectation, and it's fine. You know what I mean? It's good.
No investment. You're like, I'm not spending money on this. So
exactly. But all right. New TV shows is the next segment. New TV shows for me is weird to talk about because we don't have traditional cable, and so stuff filters through Hulu and or Disney Plus or stuff. So I don't really No, I mean, some of the stuff scrolling through here is, Netflix, it's Peacock.
I love this, Charlie, though. The article we've got is TV Guide. So it's like not even like the old days where you get one in the mail, this. It's like this is
Right.
Netflix, it's
Right.
Peacock. There's
Right.
many different things. So we're gonna scroll ahead to, interesting things that you may enjoy. And I'm gonna just keep scrolling until we get something I find interesting.
Agatha on September 18th.
Yes, that's
Already
this
talked
week.
about it. Yes.
Yep.
Penguin the next
The
day.
Penguin.
Yep.
Yeah, next day on HBO Max. That should be really interesting with
HBO,
Colin Farrell reprising his role. So he puts everything into what he does. So I think it'll be at least be a quality thing. We keep going, and I'm keep going. Charlie, Matlock is back.
No. How far did you go ahead that you caught that? You missed Twilight of the Gods. Zack Snyder animated on Netflix.
I did not miss it, Charlie. I'm not going to miss it either.
I must have flown right past. Oh, you must be going backwards. Okay. Matlock.
No, I'm going past it.
Okay. Oh, Matlock. But Matlock is Kathy Bates. Is that right? Am I reading this right?
Yes.
Oh,
So
my God.
Kathy Bates, Oscar winner, is playing essentially a new take on Matlock. It's on CBS, Charlie. What could even be better than this? Beau Bridges, and Jason Ritter in this. I am all in. My wife looked at this like, hey, why not? And I'm
Oh,
like,
my God.
Kathy Bates is amazing. And why not? This might be your last series. She's like 78.
Could be.
I'm in.
I scrolled down quite a bit. We saw a trailer for this in the theater. Ryan Murphy's new project is called Grotesque Square.
Yeah, this one's weird.
Yeah.
The Grotesquerie.
Niecy Nash, Courtney B. Vance, and Travis Kelce? What?
Of course, Charlie.
Well, then obviously there will be a sweeps episode with Taylor. But yeah,
she was. In fun fact, Niecy Nash was one of the characters from a show you don't care about, Scream Queens. She played basically a cop in that. Yeah. And then it's funny that Ryan Murphy has brought her back. It's basically she's brought in to investigate a murder where there's been like some like nuns that go wrong. There we go. And Travis Kelce.
Oh my gosh. I'm continuing to scroll, so feel free to jump in.
Sure. I got one, Charlie. Dr. Odyssey. This one's going to be fun. Ryan Murphy, once again, is back, and he's doing basically Death on the High Seas, like Love Boat, but Joshua Jackson is a doctor. He's playing Doc on the Love Boat, but imagine Doc had to actually treat patients.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm into it on ABC.
I scrolled way down. This will grab April's attention, but an animated Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft, starring Haley Atwell as Lara Croft on Netflix on October 10.
So I have one. It's called The Franchise on HBO.
Okay.
This one looks very, very fun. It's basically a recreation of people that are having to make a superhero franchise. And it's behind the scenes. Basically, you've got like the producers, the filmmakers, and this one looks a lot of fun. It's going to be on HBO/Max on October 6th. And you've got really cool people involved in regards to basically the filmmaker that's going to make this thing about spandex and capes. We've got Hamish Patel, Aya Cash, Jessica Hines, Billy Magnuson, and Sam Mendes is directing this. And it's also got the guy who played... the guy from the MCU who is playing Baron.
Daniel Bruhl.
Yes, he is the director of this series, this franchise. So this could be a lot of fun talking about all those things. Basically, when we talk about making a cinematic universe, then we got Teacup. This is going to be James Wan from Saw is going to make this series on Peacock that looks interesting with Yvonne Strahovski, Scott Speedman, Cheske Spencer, and Kathy Baker. Nice. This is going to be a series that is going to be part of Spooky Season, Charlie. But yes, Tomb Raider looks really cool on Netflix.
Yep. I got a can't miss for you, Todd. A prequel for NCIS. I'm just kidding. Yes, narrated by Mark Harmon about the younger days of his character.
NCIS will never die.
It will never. Oh, this is one that comes on next month. That because we've Young Sheldon. I told you we enjoyed the first half. The back half of it is really insufferable, and we've not seen the last season. But they're spinning off the older brother character who had a baby with an actress who's the sister of Haley Joel Osment, and so it'll be sitcom-y and potentially very forgettable. But we'll check it out.
Why is it called First Marriage? Is it because we know that they are getting divorced?
I mean, you know what? It's funny because we're watching Big Bang right now, and Georgie, who's the older brother, shows up as an adult, and it's I was on stage with him in Chicago. It's Jerry O'Connell. And my thought, maybe they get divorced and remarried. I have no idea. Maybe that was established, and we haven't gotten to that episode yet. So
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, they'd be
well, I've got a series for you that should be a lot of fun. It's called Hysteria. It's on Peacock.
Okay.
This is going to be a lot of fun. It's Julie Bowen, Anna Camp, MJ Anthony, and it's also going to have Bruce Campbell in this. And this basically, it's basically a set in the 80s, and it follows a high school metal band who capitalizes on the fear by adding a devilish facade to their style, using a string of murders and supernatural activity, which turns the community against them. This looks like a lot of fun. I saw the trailer for it. Julie Bowen's doing great. It's October 18th. Bruce Campbell's involved. I'm all in.
Gotcha. I'm scrolling, but nothing is. Oh, I do see Ted Danson's back in the show.
Yes, and there's a good news about that, Charlie, is the fact that who's doing the show with him.
Because he's available, they brought in the guy who played Jason?
No, it's a Good Place reunion. So Mike Schur is creating his new show. It's called The Man on the Inside.
Yep.
Stars Ted Danson on Netflix, and it's basically about a comedic take on the Oscar-nominated documentary The Mole Agent, which follows an older man, Danson, who's hired by a private detective to be a mole in a nursing home. So that should be fun.
Oh, cool.
And I'll hit on a couple that you might have missed. And we'll go from here.
All right.
So if we go to this one's going to be interesting. It's called Like a Dragon. This is based on a video game series, Yakuza. It's kind of a cool look at a video game series based on the Japanese mafia, which could be fun.
Yeah.
But the one that stands out for me is really interesting. It's called Before on Apple TV Plus. This is a description. It's Before includes the words atmospheric, psychological thriller, and supernatural mystery. And surprisingly, Billy Crystal stars in this. It's a comedian appears to be going out of his comfort zone by playing a child psychologist who works with a young boy who has an unusual connection to his past. Judith Light also appears.
What? Yeah.
This looks really good.
All these oldsters having these big old career renaissances. Good for them.
Another one is Day of the Jackal. This is an old film that's been redone before. And we've got Eddie Redmayne as the lone assassin in this series on Peacock.
Eddie Redmayne, the Harry Potter guy you can't stand?
Yes, he's the weirdo. He's been a lot of things. He's an odd boy. I don't love him, but he's a good actor. And another one that I am interested in, Charlie, is called St. Dennis Medical.
Yes.
It's basically similar to Abbott Elementary, but it's set into a hospital. It's going to be a kind of a mockumentary with David Allen Greer, Wendy McClellan Covey, Tolman, Josh Lawson. So this will be a new comedy on NBC that I think could be a lot of fun. So we're always looking for the next comedy.
Right.
Should be good.
Anything to keep the networks alive.
Exactly. And so that's kind of it for the fall with TV. Obviously, I could tell you all about the cooking, the baking, all those shows that I love about the Halloween session, but Charlie won't let me. So let's move on to comics.
It's on our short list of banned topics, which I can't name any more
perfectly fine
because they're banned. All right, comics. We got just some covers here. Like I said, I'm reading new comics now here and there, but my tastes are pretty specific. But looks like we have, and again, I have no data, so I'm just looking at these covers. We have a new.
I just had to grab stuff as much as I could.
I'm not complaining. We have a series about the X-Men character Psylocke, immortalized by Olivia Munn in the Apocalypse movie. A new series for Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu. The next one, Conquest. Is that a video game adaptation? But it's set in
that's Conquest is playing off the old. This is like the galactic version of Marvel tied into the 2099 universe. So you get to see like Nova and different characters there, tied into 2099 with Spider-Man. So I don't know what it is, but it's a new series coming tomorrow.
I'm signed up for this one. My fear is that it's going to follow the same format of a different limited series set in the Star Wars universe, which was Chewbacca, where it was only him speaking in Shirwook, so you never knew what he was saying. But this one is Ewoks, and I love this cover because this is a direct adaptation of one of the covers of the old Marvel series from the 70s and 80s. It's just an Ewok with his big Ewok foot on top of a Stormtrooper helmet and holding his Ewok spear. So that looks fun. I signed up for it. Every once in a while, I'm successful forcing April to read a comic, and because it's about the Ewoks, I think I will be successful with this one. So
I hope there's a lot of eating of flesh by the Ewoks.
I think maybe it could be just that. So, all right. So that's Marvel. What do we got over in DC Comics?
So DC, we're getting some like Halloween era type of comics. We've got DC Horror Presents #1. This is coming out October 23rd. Bones crunching, worms munching, blood spattering. Basically, people are taking the DC characters and putting them into horrific elements. We've got Justice League Unlimited #1 by Mark Waid, one of my favorite writers. Dan Mora is writing that, so that's coming out in October as well. And then I love this one, Batman, Santa Claus, Silent Night. We finally get the team up of Batman and Superman defending the toys for the little boys and girls. So I cannot wait for that. That is coming out in November 26th. So very fun. And then Charlie, G.I. Joe's coming.
Yes,
the new series.
Had that pre-ordered for a very long time. There will now be, when it's completed, 4 different miniseries. We've talked about them over on our Patreon. So if you're not a member, it's a great time to go over there and listen to us talk about Duke, followed up by Cobra Commander, then Scarlet and Destro, combining into a team where they've done a little flippity flop. If you're looking at this cover image, you see a lot of very familiar characters. You do see one new character who just appears to, he looks like a cross between
in a suit.
Yeah, FBI agent, a Texas Ranger, and he's got a big old shotgun. But what the script flip here is that the Baroness is now a member of the G.I. Joe team. It appears that Scarlet is a member of the Cobra team.
Flippy floppy.
Yeah, flippity flip flop. So I'm looking forward to that. I've kind of fallen off the wagon with the Larry Hama continuation series because it just didn't grab me, which I feel bad about because I've met.
Wait, you haven't caught up on all 300 and a billion episodes of that?
Because I skipped the 145 issues in between this and that. And they're very hard to find. I just decided to give up and start fresh.
That's a smart move, Charlie.
Yeah.
Yes. Time and money.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, what is Hornsby and Halo from Image Comics? What's that all about?
Yeah, so this is a one-off, or maybe it's going to be ongoing. It's called Hornsby and Halo. It's good versus evil from the minds of Peter J. Tomasi and Peter Snyberg. Great creators. Keeping the cosmic peace isn't easy, but the opposing leaders of Heaven Hell broker a deal that trades Zachary Halo, an angel child, to a demon family, and Rose Hornsby, a demon child, to an angelic family. To hope this truce will halt the winds of war. That's kind of fun.
The winds of war, my least favorite kind of winds. Well, good. And then, of course, all of your regular ongoing comics that you would expect will be out there. So, yeah, that's it. That's the fall. And yeah, I'm trying to remember if we also do a winter preview. We usually do a New Year's preview. That'll be our next.
Yeah, anything coming out basically January to March.
Exactly. Yes. So that's what Kitchen Next said. But that's the show. So yeah, good times are had. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Todd, where do people find you out there?
They find me on the threads at Toxtra, at Secret Friends Unite. It's a good time there. So check me out and all the things we're talking about there.
Very good. Same here. I am on Threads and Instagram at the C3 TheCeeThree. I'm not hard to find, I promise. Spent a heck of a lot of time over at our Secret Friends Unite Discord because that's where we're having all the fun conversations. April and I do also run a fun little group, just a Discord for Trekkers in Michigan. It doesn't really matter where you are. We just had to name it something, but we do love talking about Star Trek, and we'd love to have you there as well. So hit us up. With that, I will bid all of us adieu. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
One ring to rule them all, unless it's a Jocelyn ring. And then none of them rule them all.
Turn your finger green.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.